Welcome to NCBA's Cattleman's Call podcast with host Lane Nordland.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cattleman's Call podcast. Lane Nordland joining you here today, and it was a great event at CattleCon 2026. Several thousand, over 9,000, close to 10,000 attendees at this year's event, and it was just great catching up with cattlemen and women, and our friends at John Deere had a lot of great opportunities to talk face-to-face with producers about the future of their operations and how they are working together to improve efficiency out in the countryside. So we're going to extend that trade show conversation here today on the Cattleman's Call, and it's just great to catch up with producers out in the countryside and right here at the trade show. So join us here today is Scott Berker with Berker Cattle Company out of Iowa, and Kayleen Ballesteros joining us as well. She is with John Deere and on the marketing end of things. And first off, what was CattleCon like this year? It's been a great year price-wise, especially for cow-calf producers out in the countryside, and we know there's challenges with it too. But Kayleen, from your perspective with John Deere, what has it been like just engaging with producers here in early 2026?
I feel a lot of excitement. I feel a lot of decision-making, a lot of, hey, tell me about what can we do to be smarter, what can we do to be more efficient, and making good decisions. But overall, just a lot of excitement to be here, and who wouldn't want to be in Nashville?
Yeah.
What do you think, Scott?
Oh, exactly. And I think it's, we've moved that demand thing, and we've moved it hard, and I think the producers want to move it a little bit further, and keep that demand strong for high-quality beef.
And from your perspective, how's the winter shaping up in your part of Iowa? Are you getting some moisture? What have the elements been so far?
We've been getting a little bit of moisture. We're still a little dry around Iowa. You know how Iowa can be. We can change in a moment, right? And but things are shaping up. They're shaping up good in Iowa.
Well, I do want to focus on forage and the innovation because whether it's drought or good times, we all need to put up forage and take care of our pastures and our hay grounds as well. But Scott, it was 70 degrees in Montana yesterday when I called home and was talking with my family. My girls were outside playing in the sandbox. 70 degrees in January. It was 23 degrees here in Nashville.
That's not right.
Just showing how this weather is going. So drought is top of mind for us right now. Our families are sitting down. We're actually maybe identifying those cows that maybe look at us kind of funny, and especially during calving season. And that's conversations that we don't want to have as our herd is already produced in size due to what we are going through. So I think efficiency is really important in our conversation here today. But talk more about your family operation, what it entails, and how long has your family been in the business?
So I'd be a fourth generation in eastern Iowa, and of course eastern Iowa we're row crop. So we're row crop, and actually my father, actually 3 generations before me, was dairy farming, and I found out real fast that dairy farming wasn't quite for me. So I took the beef cow-calf route, and we're a cow-calf operation where we sell feeders, and then we also feed out some and have a retail meat business on our own. That's my wife's hobby, I guess you'd say. And I do a bunch of row crop with my brother.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Kayleen, for yourself, what's your background, and talk more about your role in engaging with producers?
Yeah, so background-wise, I grew up not too far from Scott, so hail from Iowa, and I grew up on a small cow-calf operation and a larger-scale horse ranch operation, so breeding and showing, selling, training, that type of thing. So have been engaged in the industry at some point the entire time.
Yep.
I started with John Deere about 15 years ago as a part-time student, and developed myself through that in that path, and that's where I really kind of started to find my niche and how I could still continue to be a part of the ag industry and promote the industry and our customers while having a small little hobby farm for my kids. And they've got some, they do roping and a little bit of the rodeo side of things. So we still do a little bit of that, but a lot of it, my focus is my kids and the ag promotion in that industry as well.
And we know cow prices are high. We could have a whole other conversation on horse prices right now
Yeah.
too, especially
Yeah.
in that roping into things too. That hobby gets a little expensive sometimes.
Yep.
But did either you go to Iowa State?
I did not.
You did not. I was just asking because one time we were working with Iowa State FFA and we got to go to that campus and they did VISHA. And that was
yeah.
that was quite the experience to be down there for that. And I don't think they do it anymore.
They don't. They lost that privilege.
Yeah, there's reasons for that.
Yeah, that's what I saw that in the news, but just thought I'd throw that one in there here today. But, as we look at it, let's just talk about the production end, especially on the hay and some of your other forages that you're putting up. What are some of the methods that you've utilized and then working in partnership with John Deere and your local implement dealers and your experts to really maximize these fields, especially, like I said, drought is top of mind for so many producers and weather can change on a dime, as you mentioned in Iowa. How have you utilized over the years these evolving technologies to help you be more efficient and to have that safety net? Because hay's a safety net for us. A lot of folks out in the West, we don't feed. It's when we do have drought we need to feed. What is that experience like for you, and how has innovation really been at the forefront of your mind and your forefathers too?
Right. So we've been running Deere balers for as long as I can remember, right? So we're running a 1 Series baler right now, and we talk about the efficiency side of things. So it's got gate speed and auto weave automation. And we talk about the efficiency side of this thing is that thing is perfect every time. Every time it kicks a bale out, it's the right size, it's the right shape, it's the right density, right? So I can put an average operator in that thing, and if it's my daughter, or my son, or my wife, or myself, anybody can run that thing. So that's been huge to our operation. And then we throw the technology side of things with that baler on it, with the bale documentation side of things, to where we can start pinpointing where our problem spots are in our hay fields. We've been doing yield mapping with our combine for years. I mean, lots of years. And now we've got that on a baler side of things to where we can pinpoint where our inputs need to be, and we can maybe slightly reduce those inputs.
Yeah. So how is it, though, working with your local dealer or with someone like Kayleen and maybe sharing feedback on something like, hey, this is working really well, or you know what, we could maybe tweak this just a little bit. Have you had that opportunity to engage with Deere on that level?
Actually, I have. We started really rolling with this 1 Series baler last summer, and we found out that there were some issues, right? And there was some issues with some matching some older stuff with some new stuff, and they listened. And I mean, they listened real fast because this was an issue. And I had some input that I'd like to say that they really listened to, because they did not think about a thing I was thinking about, and they were going to take it back to engineering or whoever, and they were going to probably implement that. So it's good.
Yeah, Kayleen, there's businesses out there that would, when they would hear maybe feedback from a customer, they'd say, well, we're smarter than you. We know what this is. We're your customer support. How important is it to listen to that feedback, look into it, diagnose what it is, and try to find a solution as quickly as possible? How important is that for Deere?
Yeah, so one thing I like to say is that we are innovation through legacy. So we don't just come up with this out of thin air, and that's really important to us. So we like to stand shoulder to shoulder with customers that are really feeling those real world problems and can help us identify how to dream them up, and how to design, and how to test, and how to correct, and continue that path forward. And somebody like Scott and many of our other customer operators and that are helping us test, they're the heart of what we do, and developing that to make sure we have a solution, whether you've got older equipment out in the field that you're wanting to upgrade and make smarter and more efficient, or you're buying something new out of the factory.
Yep. And as you mentioned, legacy, Scott, how long has your family had green paint on their equipment out in the field?
Oh, I bet we're pushing 30 years of green paint on the farm.
And why did that transition occur?
It was actually a local dealer. The local dealer, we were having some issues with a different kind of tractor, and the local dealer stepped up and he says, I want to take care of you with service and parts and relationship, and built that relationship over those years, and we've been with that local dealer ever since.
So let's talk about the technology, and that has just changed the game for producers in the countryside. And that technology continues to improve, more updates. Scott, what would your dad, even your grandpa, great grandparents, what would they think of a satellite in the air, and then all the technology that is now coming from the air down to your tractor, helping you be more efficient? And we keep using the term efficient, but truly you are more efficient because you're saving time, you're saving labor on yourself, that sweat equity. What do you think their reaction would be?
Well, I can tell you from my dad's perspective. My dad's 77, and he actually still mows hay, and he loves it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a job he can do in a semi-retirement mode, right? And that baler showed up this spring, and he jumped in the pickup, and he was driving right beside that thing, and he studied that tongue. That tongue was the auto weave, and he could not get it through his head, and it was just like. So we finally had to stop the tractor, and he jumped up in the buddy seat with me, and he spun right around, and he watched that thing.
Yeah.
And he watched what it was doing on the screen, and watched what the baler was doing, and he was just amazed.
Yeah.
And I think about my grandpa probably, planting with horses.
Yeah.
And he's like, where have we gone?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's crazy.
Well, and you look back, and a saying like my dad has always said, his dad, his grandpa, his great grandpa, they all had to work hard because that's all you had to. And so many generations, especially you look at the 80s as well. I've had so many conversations with producers that were told, do not come back because of the economic situation. There was no income coming in, and it was hard work, leading up until the advancements that we saw in the 1990s and everything that was come to today. That efficiency is going to keep more people in agriculture. We're not breaking our bodies down either. I think that's a big part of it too. So when we're looking at keeping people in business as well, not just having an implement to get things done, it's about keeping that legacy alive as well, in that efficiency, in that family legacy.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I think there's one thing I like to sometimes share is that we think of efficiency or technology as something scary. And I take it all the way back to the creation of the steel plow. That is, by definition, a form of automation. And so it doesn't have to be scary. There's things we do every day that are technically automation. So we're trying to take that away from that thought a little bit. And it's really just about working smarter. And that's what we really want to focus on. And I think that as we continue to share the features and the technology that we have, it's really no different than trying to be more efficient with your cattle. We talk about that and the breeding and the genetics and how we feed them. Why would you not want to be more efficient with your equipment?
One thing about not milking cows every day with your hands and doing everything, I'm never going to have the big hands that my grandpa and great grandpa had. Not any little weak hands, But so what? Continuing on that efficiency line, and maybe I need to get a different adjective. But Scott, when we're looking at your time, and you mentioned those tweaks and the suggestions with the new baler. How much time did you save once things were worked out? How much more hay are you able to put up? Because everybody loves to cut hay. Some people don't like baling hay. I've had conversations with people, they'd rather go out and swath it. But what's your take on that? How is the labor on your end really speed it up?
Everybody's fighting with my dad, right?
Yeah,
And
that's what
everybody
I mean.
wants to run the swather because that's where everything smells good and you don't have to worry about anything, right?
Yeah, you can just.
And we talk about the efficiency side of things, and we've kind of changed this thing a little bit because I feel like instead of me being the one that's doing the baling, I'm doing other things. So I don't know if I could pinpoint that how much time it's actually saved me, but it's allowed me to do other things, right? So I might be moving the bales, I might be putting them in the shed, and I might be doing the technical side of things, or the raking, or I could be out doing the spraying or something like that, and somebody else is running that baler
Yep.
and doing a fabulous job with the automation system. So, I mean, I don't know if you could really pinpoint time. It's gave me more flexibility, I would
Yeah.
say, and being able to do the job, to 100% with be doing other things
Yep.
too.
Yeah, and I think there's this kind of the two lanes. So if you've got Scott in the seat, typically he can go take 100% of that time that he was using to bail and put somebody maybe a little bit more novice in there if that's an option. And he can go do what he wanted to do, whether that's go play a ball game or go to a ball game for a kiddo or play ball too. You could do that. Hey,
Scott's a baller still.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or it's, we saw through some internal testing that we did this past summer that there was about a 59% reduction in screen time,
Yep.
in-cab screen time. Who wouldn't want nearly 60% less looking at a screen while you're bailing? It
Yep.
just gives you more mental capacity think about the things you want to.
So what type of hay are you putting up usually?
Normally we're running mostly like straight alfalfa, maybe a little alfalfa grass mix, and then we do some straight grass.
And how big a bale do you put up?
We're putting up a full size, a 5x6.
Yep. And so when you can go back and maybe look at the analytics behind that too, how does that impact just the business planning of things too, when you can take all the analytics from all the John Deere products and you're working on your business plans on saying, hey, here's a new piece of equipment right here where we're doing pretty good on this, but if we could, bale a little bit faster, put up more hay in a day. Again, inputs cost money. We know that. But when we're weighing that cost of time and downtime and whatnot too, what are those conversations like at the kitchen table? Or the boardroom? You might have a boardroom there with leather chairs, I don't know.
We can talk about my wife, the CFO of my operation, right? And the conversation's always tough, right? Because she's always business minded, and I'm more emotionally minded that, I gotta have it, right? So we all have those conversations around the kitchen table. But when she can actually pull up John Deere Operations Center and she can see what that baler's been doing, and we can prove that we are gaining knowledge with the bale documentation system that all of a sudden the fertilizer bill isn't as much, or I mean we're pinpointing that we can spread a little lime over here and make better hay with that alfalfa, and we always got to remember we're trying to do more with less, right? So we got to really utilize those acres to the maximum, and I hate to put maximum on the word, right? But we kind of need what we can get out of those acres.
Yep. Well, hey, we'll continue our conversation here, but we're going to take a quick break. But we'll be back with Kayleen and Scott right after these words.
When the herd's hungry, John Deere balers deliver. High-capacity pickup powers through the heaviest windrows. Experience baler automation with speed, gate, and weave technology, allowing you to do a better job with less effort. Built-in features track moisture and weight, while you monitor and manage it, all from your phone or display. Because every bale matters, and so does the equipment you trust.
As we come back here today with Kayleen and Scott, a lot of opportunity. We've been talking about efficiency because I've said efficiency at least 150 times at this point too. But when we look at precision ag and what we're producing forage-wise, then we look at our cattle as well. How do you weigh cattle nutrition, cattle health, cattle efficiency, forage efficiency? What goes on in your head when you're evaluating these? We were just talking about time and effort and budgets as well. What is it like to put both up? Because it's two different worlds sometimes, but it's all part of that one umbrella of our companies of trying to just raise some good cows.
Well, and we've always been taught as young cattlemen, right, that a cow needs to have a perfect day every day, right? That's how she's going to be the best cow, the best steer. I mean, we got to have a perfect day. So do we have to think about, do we want to put that perfect forage in the mouth of that cow every day, or that steer, or that replacement heifer, So we've got to start all the way back at the swather, right? And we got to work that system all the way through, all the way towards that baby calf or that finished steer. So we've got to think about that perfect forage along the way.
Yeah. And so, again, the automation, the technology aspect of this excites me. So, Kayleen, when we're looking at listening to customer feedback and trying to make their time in the cab as smooth as possible so they're not getting out of the cab, so they're not calling the local dealer and the repair crew to come out. With that automation conversation, how much time and R&D and input really go into a baler? Like, how, truly, is it quantifiable to say how many thousands of hours and years truly go into it?
It never stops.
Yeah.
And so there's never a time that, hey, we rolled out a feature and it ends there. We continue. There is probably at any given time 3 or 4 more iterations of what this could eventually be moving forward. But we still want to continue to offer solutions continually so that you have what you need, but we're trying to grow and improve as well, especially as we learn things in the market of where are some of the challenges and these are the spaces. But honestly, it never ends.
Yep.
There's never a we've brought this product to market and we're done. Those engineers and the team in Atumwa, Iowa, they continue, and it's really it's a passion.
Yep.
It is something they don't stop thinking about.
And I'll add on that one so there was a couple engineer guys, and I don't remember what they had, what part of the baler they had, but they were like a bunch of kids in a candy store. We'd let them take that tractor and baler out, and I said, "Go ahead, bale the hay," and they absolutely love that. It's just like, well, we haven't been out of the office for a while, but they were doing more when they were sitting in that cab. I mean, they were studying things on that baler that I didn't know existed. But that's what, and the baler had been out for quite a few years, but
Right.
they were still after that little bit of knowledge.
So, obviously, we know that when we're trying to get a new piece of equipment, we have budget in mind. If all of us could afford and have the newest and latest equipment every year, we'd have it in the yard. We'd be going out there. So, Scott, when you're weighing all these new updates and automation, how important is it to explore these options and weigh, okay, maybe not this year, but maybe next year or the year after when we're trying to budget this? And heck, the technology is going to be way far advanced now, but how important is it to weigh those options and do your research and work with Kayleen or your local dealer and trying to find what is the best option? Say, you know what? We're going to keep this baler going or this piece of equipment going a few more months or years, and then we're going to look at this.
Well, and I think it's important to reach out to that local dealer and get that demo, and just have them ask the right questions, because we've all baled before, and baling seems like it's kind of stuck in a certain time frame. But I think we need to explore beyond that certain time frame and actually ask that dealer for the demo or put them in contact with somebody that's actually doing it, and it just kind of push yourself a little bit to ask those questions to yourself. Is this worth it? And I think you'll find out really fast. Back to efficiency. I mean, you'll find out really fast that the efficiency is worth the time and worth the little bit of cost to go that way.
Yeah.
I love that answer. I didn't even think of that. But that's so true. And I think along with that we have some technology that we have what we call our Precision Essentials kit, and this is something that's at lower upfront entry point cost for our hardware that unlocks a lot of value on older equipment that you might already have out in your field. So our goal is to make sure, like I said, if you've got equipment that's you've been running for a while or new, we have something that you can still leverage to offer value to your operation. And that's important to us. That's something we've actually heard loud and clear in this space, and we've got the attention.
Yep. Well, and when cattle prices are as good as they are, things are a little easier making decisions. And that kind of, I'm sure you're always asked the return on investment. You know, is it going to be long term? Is it going to be short term? Why is that important for Deere to have those conversations with producers too on helping them have their return on investment?
Yeah, for at least us in the conversations I've had, it's been, where do you want to spend that investment? Is that in rebuilding the herd? Is that in your field? Is that in your operator efficiency? So what parts of it? In the livestock space, it is complex. No, I would say a touch more complex sometimes than the row crop side, right? Because you've got those other areas. You don't just have the agronomist, you've got the nutritionist, you've got all of those thought minds that have to go through to make sure you've got the right investments where you need to. And so making sure we understand what their train of thought is and where they want to go with those investments is important to us because we don't want to miss the mark.
And talking about, do you want to add on this, Scott?
Well, I was just going to say, it seems like in a cattle operation, there's always a place to put money, right?
What?
Yeah, you can always
No.
fix a little fence or,
Throw it in my 401k, right?
Yeah, yes, yes.
And so, Kayleen, above all, what is John Deere's main mission when we're looking at serving folks like Scott in the countryside? What is the one thing that you would like to tell Scott and his family 30 years ago when they switched to green paint, or a new customer today? What is the main thing that you and the team really just want to drive home?
Make sure that their job is easier and more productive so that they can continue to live through their legacy, whether that's with their family, that's just feeding and clothing the world, and doing that while removing complexity, whether that's through user experience or decisions that have to be made.
And Scott, what's next for you and the family, and how does John Deere play a role in that?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'd love to know what the answer
Yeah.
is because,
I got the magic 8-ball back here.
right, because I don't know, and maybe that's why John Deere likes me. I'm a little bit of a forward thinker or an outside the box thinker, right? So I don't know what's next, but I know in 2026 we're working on a couple things, and they're going to be exciting that John Deere will be releasing. So there's new things to come, or more things to come, I should say, and it's nice to have. My kids have really loved this adventure, and my daughter is a freshman at Iowa State, and for her, they asked her if she would help with part of this testing, and for her to jump in that baler and feel confident, it kind of made a soft spot in Dad's heart,
What's it like to watch them go from the buddy seat to the driver's seat?
Gosh.
I just got a little choked up there because my little girl's still sitting in the buddy seat right now.
When you see your son driving by on the gravel road on his own with the tractor and the baler, it's a pride issue, I mean, you taught that little fart everything, and he watched every button you push. You didn't know you did it, but you did it.
And for so long, you said, "Don't touch
Don't
anything."
touch those buttons, but he saw every button that you touched, and it's a pride thing, big time.
God, I didn't think I've been away from home too much, getting choked up thinking of my kids here. But Gayleen, obviously you got kids too. You live in rural America. You help these producers. What's it like hearing that though?
I honestly think we could have a whole show on what did you learn to drive in. When I have goes, of course, of legal age to drive, I learned to drive on my dad's old 4020.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine that is also a part of this show, she learned to drive on her dad's old tractor. And I just hearing that with you and your children, like I said, we could have a whole show on what did you learn to drive in.
We were backstage after opening ceremonies on Tuesday, right?
Okay.
And remember the guy asked us about.
Yes.
I learned
the security gentleman.
Yeah,
Yes.
I learned
yes.
to drive on a 4020.
I'm gonna copyright all of these slogans so I can get bought out by Deere on the URL and everything. But at the end of the day, we just want to be better producers in the countryside. And I know we have focused on animal health, animal nutrition. Well, your Forage comes into play there too. I literally do not have an opportunity to go through the trade show much. I haven't even been to the Deere booth yet. I'm going to head down there hopefully today. What's one piece of equipment you want to drive off or take home that you've seen over there so far? Maybe you get that for being on the podcast today. I don't know.
Really?
Fine print.
I have not seen that. They've got a wonderful. I am kind of special. That 561R baler sitting over there is that's the one I run. So, and I don't even remember what tractor's on there. It's a 6R with a loader on it. I'd look pretty good driving away from Nashville in that thing.
Could you make it home? How long would it take you to?
We'll figure it out.
I know you're not supposed to drive on the highway with tractor tires. I get that, but you could
We can
Trim
find
her home
gravel
slow.
roads.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yes,
could take her
yes,
home.
Yes. We'll be just fine.
Well, again, Kayleen Scott, thank you so much for sitting down with us here today, and to John Deere for helping us have these conversations at CattleCon 26 from the podcast booth as well. So thank you both for joining us, and we'll let this John Deere message play us out here today from our great conversation in Nashville.
When the herd's hungry, John Deere balers deliver. High-capacity pickup powers through the heaviest windrows. Experience baler automation with speed, gate, and weave technology, allowing you to do a better job with less effort. Built-in features track moisture and weight, while you monitor and manage it, all from your phone or display. Because every bale matters, and so does the equipment you trust.
Thanks for tuning in to NCBA's Cattleman's Call podcast with Lane Nordland. For more information, visit ncba.org and make sure to subscribe to the podcast today.